Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Four podcast. We have everybody here today for the first time in a while, and we're all hyped up about it. Woo! We'll start with some breaking news. Nick Ward got hurt today. Nobody seems to know how. And he's out indefinitely. The original thing was 3 to 6 weeks, but now it's indefinitely. What's your reaction to this injury?
I heard he punched a locker in the locker room. That's what happened.
Okay. I don't know, man. Nobody seems to know.
Yeah, he punched a locker. I'm telling you what happened. I have inside sources. He was frustrated with the way he played. You guys go.
Nick Ward just got scared of Caleb Weston. He was like, I got to get over these and get out of this game. And so he faked the first man.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What you said? Shout it up. Alex?
Well, as our president has said, he's a pussy. That's all I have to say. It's sad.
What?
Oh, roasted! Oh! Yeah, then. This loss, this might hurt Michigan State, might not. The thing is, Nick Ward and Josh Langford, the two players they've lost here over the last few weeks, don't show up in big games, so I'm not really expecting this to have a huge effect on next week's game.
Are you saying all of our choke players are now gone from last year? Is that what you're telling me?
Your choke players are hurt right now.
So that means we should be beating Michigan. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not saying
No,
that.
all our choke players are gone.
No, these losses are going to have impact, on Michigan State. Maybe in the game earlier in the week when they're not playing as good of a team. But, it's like Rutgers, that might affect them in that game. But I don't think it's really going to affect them against good teams like Michigan because Nick Ward and Josh Langford, I haven't seen them show up in a big game. So, obviously tough loss. Hopefully we'll be back by the end of the season. Like to see them at full strength of the Big Ten tournament, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's not happening because we all know something else is going to happen. Whether it's Winston tearing his ACL or Matt McQuaid falling down the stairs. Something will happen. We'll see. This is a big loss, especially because our offense runs through Nick Ward. As Izzo has said 100 times, we got to get it into Nick Ward more.
Nothing about Nick Ward runs. Nick Ward doesn't even run. He's so fat. Don't talk about running in Nick Ward.
Well, he's the best rim runner in the Big Ten. Dan Dawkins said he was the best rim runner in the Big Ten. So.
Caleb Weston runs laps around Nick Ward.
Yeah, well, Caleb Weston was running laps around the hoop today because he couldn't even make one. So against a 6'6" Thomas Kithier, he couldn't even make one. So, I mean,
he's the best player in the Big Ten. So
they can all run laps each other. They're all just going to be winded after one because they're both fat as hell.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, Caleb Weston was the only #1 overall pick.
Luke, I'll take Andre Weston over Caleb Weston any day. Anyways, back to this. We've had tough luck with injury, both football and basketball. I feel like if we were healthy in football, we would have easily beaten Michigan, and definitely we would have beaten Ohio State.
I enjoy.
What?
A week before the Michigan game, the excuses are already rolling in for the Michigan State fans.
No.
A week before the game.
No, we're winning. We're beating Michigan next Sunday. I'm not making any excuses.
Okay, good. No excuses.
I think we just would have beat Michigan by more if we had Ward and Langford on the team. I like Tillman a lot. I like his defense. I think we get better on the defensive end with Ward out. But our offense gets significantly worse because we don't have any post presence besides him. Tillman can be a post presence once in a while, but he's more of a defensive guy. He can pass a little bit, but he's more of a defensive guy. And we'll have to play Thomas Kithier a little bit more. I like him. He plays hard, which is what you want to see. Nick Ward doesn't always play hard, so that'll be good. I think we underestimated how valuable Nick Ward was to this team, though, because he was a guy, he could get you 15 every game. When he wanted to play defense, he could play defense, and he's one of the better rebounders in the Big Ten. And he really he was much better this year with the double teams. It's sad to see a season end already, but I'm not shocked. He'll probably get a medical red shirt because why not? Whatever. That's all I have to say.
All right. Let's move on. Move on to Michigan's week. They fell to Penn State earlier in the week, and they defeated Maryland on yesterday. What's your reaction to Michigan's week?
I can't even explain how bad that loss to Penn State is. I like Michigan as a team. I think that might be the worst loss by a top 10 team all season long. That's worse than our loss to Indiana. That's worse than Duke's loss to Syracuse. That's worse than so many different teams.
Okay, it is not worse than your loss at home to Indiana.
Nope, it is, and I'll tell you why.
No, it is not.
Michigan State went on the road to play Penn State and played terrible. Cassius Winston was awful. Nobody could knock down a shot, and we beat them by 16. They are a terrible team, Penn State.
All right.
They just have nobody on that team.
Against Michigan. We saw them beat Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech sucks.
They can beat a lot of teams.
Virginia Tech sucks. That's not a good win. Listen, Penn State, they have no offense. Lamar Stevens is the only player that can do anything on that team, and Michigan couldn't stop him.
That's just not true. Miles Dredd didn't miss.
Miles Dredd is their only shooter, and Michigan couldn't stop him. Nobody else on that team could shoot except for Miles Dredd, and Michigan couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop Watkins. They couldn't stop Stevens. They couldn't stop anybody. I don't even know how they're a good defensive team. I mean, they can't stop anybody.
They don't play good against bad teams. They play great against good teams on defense.
They played a soft Maryland team and probably should have lost if Maryland didn't give them the game.
That's the worst quote of all time. They don't play good against bad teams.
Well, and I think Bruno Fernando is one of the softest big men in the Big Ten, and they made him look like a god. He's not very good. Maryland just gave him that game. Michigan tried their hardest to give Maryland that game, and Maryland wouldn't take it. So it was a pretty bad week. I think they should be moving out of the top 10. But we'll see what happens to other teams. Houston should be moving ahead of them. We'll see.
Boy.
We'll see what happens.
Houston's nasty.
Well, we don't really need to talk about that loss. That was embarrassing, to say the least. That's up there with the Illinois loss, for Michigan State. But
Illinois is good. They're 6-8.
Good.
They're 6-8 in conference.
Yeah, same record as Ohio State in conference, and they beat Ohio State. But we also beat them. So.
I picked that game right, by the way.
I know.
But that's true. I mean, I'd say there's one scorer, and they just didn't really guard him. And especially for a team that started so well defensively. Maryland's a fraud. Everybody knows that, so I'm not really good. What a conference win, but that loss is just terrible. That's going to be the difference between like a 2 and a 3 seed come tournament time.
Joe Lenardi says they're locked into a 2 seed right now, so. Well, Joe Lenardi, their ward's losing.
That's true.
So Michigan's got to lose a couple more games if they want to stay on the 2 line, or else they'll go down to the 3.
They're going to lose. They lose to Penn State, and he's like, they're locked into a 2 seed because he lost to 2 seed. That's well, Michigan is losing twice this week.
He also makes like preseason brackets. I don't know who's going to make the tournament. So
he has Loyola Chicago as an 8 seed.
Oh God, yeah. Well, the bracket. Really, he can predict the brackets all he wants now. It really doesn't matter. So if he says they're locked to the 2 seed, it's almost a guarantee they will not be a 2 seed.
No, he's usually right. All of them got him. Every single guy has him in a 2 seed. which means they won't be a 2 seed. It's like when they're picking
Exactly.
football games and everyone takes one team. You can just bet on the other team to win.
Yeah, it's like whenever Chris picks a game, you just bet on the other team that doesn't pick.
I mean, you just look at Michigan's resume is more of an 8 seed than a 2 seed. I mean, who have they beaten? I mean, come on.
Calm down.
Okay, you got over the edge now.
Who's their best win? George Washington? I mean, who have they played?
North Carolina at Villanova.
North Carolina's a fraud. Villanova just lost to St. John's. Keep going.
St. John's is a very good team.
And they lost to Furman. Keep going.
Okay, they beat Wisconsin.
Oh, you lost to Wisconsin too.
Well, have they played a road game yet?
No, they haven't. They played no road games. So that means at Penn State is basically a home game. I mean, the Bryce Jordan Center has there's no fans in that building. We all know that. That's basically a home loss. That's a quadrant 4 loss.
South Carolina.
Oh.
Providence?
Nope.
All right. Okay, well, my take on these games, embarrassing loss to Penn State. But that happened in 2013, too, when Penn State was over. I can't believe you guys lost to Penn State. I can't believe you lost to Illinois at home. I can't believe you lost to Penn State.
They almost lost the first time, too.
You just
lost to Illinois. Illinois at home, so.
You just.
I can't believe you lost to Penn State.
Chris, you just saved Pat Chambers' job. How do you feel about that?
Well, good for him. It is 2013. 0-14 in conference. Penn State, a worse Penn State team than this. They lost, and they went to the national championship. That's so bad. You lost to Penn State. They're going to have a scorer. Like last year, they put Tony Collins who put up 40 a game. Okay? There's nobody. Okay, yep, we understand Penn State sucks. I'm not denying that.
Okay, Ohio State was a missed layup away from losing to Penn State too. So.
Okay. Tough loss. Good way to move on though, beating a decent Maryland team at home. So good win there. Just gotta look forward to this week. We're gonna lose 2 games this week, so I'm looking forward to that. All right.
Yeah, you might lose. You might lose in practice to your number 2 team. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. We're losing 2 games this week. I can tell you that. Confident. Okay. We'll move on to Michigan State. They beat Wisconsin and lowly Ohio State. What's your reaction to their week?
Well, it was a great week until the last couple of hours for Michigan State basketball. Start with the Wisconsin game. It went exactly how I thought it was going to go. We played really well, and we won at their place. We absolutely shut down their shooters, made Hap beat us all by himself, and he couldn't do it. And that's the blueprint to beat Wisconsin. You just let Hap go ham, and don't let their shooters get open, and you should be fine. So that was a good win. Kenny Goings with a big shot at the end of the game. I've really liked how he's progressed. Ohio State, I thought the first half against Ohio State was the most embarrassing first half we played all year. We were just awful on both sides of the basketball. The second half, we absolutely dominated on the defensive end. Only let up 13 points, scored 37, and dominated. Ohio State couldn't do anything on offense. So, yeah, those are 2 pretty good wins. But we got the hardest game of the year coming up on Wednesday, so we got to be ready for that.
Are you playing Penn State?
No, we got Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. After Michigan lost to Penn State, I thought Penn State might be the toughest game of the year. Luke Alex, any takes on Michigan State's week? Oh, I just think Michigan State had a good bounce back week after Langford went down. At least to see how they'll be able to play now that missing Ward too. See if Winston can take over a little bit, but I think they'll be fine. Good week overall.
Not much to say, really. I think the game today was kind of crappy, but you lose a couple guys. I feel like in all the sports they do this, they lose all their guys. They either crash and burn or they persevere. So I think Winston pulled them through.
We're gonna crash and burn just like the football team. You'll see.
I know, that's what I mean. They're just gonna crash and just. No, I'm just kidding. I think they'll be fine. I'm not too worried.
Good win against Wisconsin. I'll give you that. It was a very good win. The Ohio State win actually brings down Michigan State's resume. That's just an embarrassing win. Ohio State is just awful. They're just not a good team.
We showed we have the number one defense in the Big Ten with our second half performance. So.
I love how Chris texted the group
chat today saying "Go Bucks" as a Michigan fan.
Listen, I can cheer for basketball.
You wonder why
you're our number one rival in basketball.
Team straight football games. It's because
I can cheer for Ohio State basketball because Michigan State's our number one rival.
Okay.
No,
okay.
You gotta pick one. You can't rotate. You gotta pick one.
No, that's not true.
We already know Michigan's Super Bowl is against Michigan State in football, so we already know that.
Oh, really?
Yep. For Chase Winovich, it surely was. Like tearing up our field at midfield.
All right, we're not talking about this. We're moving on.
Should have done that at the Buckeyes field. See what they did.
Ohio State, interesting week for them. They lose to Illinois at home, and then they lose to Michigan State. Your reaction to their week?
They just don't have enough pieces. I thought they were going to be a really good team, but they don't have a star you could go to down the stretch that you can count on. Because Caleb Blessing's always in foul trouble. I think he's fouled out of like 6 Big Ten games this year. He didn't foul out of today's game, but he didn't really show up at all. He had plenty of opportunities in the post. Michigan State always guards the other team's post players one-on-one, and he really struggled today against Nick Ward, Xavier Tillman, and Thomas Kithier. C.J. Jackson, the Buckeyes go how C.J. Jackson goes, and C.J. Jackson hasn't been playing great lately. Luther Muhammad's been all right, but Illinois just outplayed them on Thursday, or whatever they played them on Wednesday. And they just got outclassed today. So, but they got some opportunities down the road to win some big games. But they might have to start winning some, or else they might not make the tournament. So we'll see what happens.
I think everyone knew this wasn't going to be as good of a year as last year. Last year was kind of a bit of a surprise, but
Luke, what? You consider losing the second round a good year?
Well, I mean, consider what our predictions were going to be. Chris Holtman's first year after the year, basically having the same team and not making the tournament and going under 500 in Big Ten play.
Chris,
I mean, I would consider last year a good year.
They lost
going in the right direction.
They lost to Rutgers in the first round of the Big Ten tournament 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure last year was a pretty damn good year.
No, you lose the second round, not
I think this year's kind of a building year for Chris Holtman, getting his pieces in, and next year and the year after, where I think we'll really see what Chris Holtman can do. So we'll make the tournament this year. We'll probably make the first round and second round, and we'll get back at it next year.
Well, they don't have the talent. That's the problem. And they don't.
They got to play Joey Lane more.
They just don't have the talent, and maybe they can sneak into the tournament, but they're not going to do anything. And I think they don't get the recruits. They have a good coach.
How about
there's only so much you can do.
How about that step back three from Jack Hoiberg? Getting off topic here. Looked like James Harden. He should be playing more. He should be our backup point guard, not Foster Lawyer. Are you kidding me? My gosh.
Yeah, Ohio State's just not good. That's the bottom line. They're not making the tournament. They don't have any good wins. They lose to Illinois in run for. They get outclassed today, scoring 13 in the second half, and he's just embarrassing. I've honestly, you guys talk about Chris Holtman like he's the greatest human being to ever step on this earth, and I really have not been impressed with his job this year. He doesn't have a ton of talent, but he has tournament talent.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. You think Keyshawn? You think Keyshawn Woods is tournament talent? Are you on crack?
DJ Jackson's the top 5 point guard of the Big Ten, and that's not even
Okay. Okay.
He is a great player.
Okay.
Chris Holtman, he's going to start bringing his guys. He's got a couple more years, and if he doesn't make it happen, he's got to go.
Chris Holtman has 3 big-time players on his team. Caleb Wesson, Andre Weston, and Kyle Young. Everybody else is like 2-star guys who went to Wake Forest like Keyshawn Woods. He has nobody on this team. He has 3 decent players.
The best basketball player on his bench is suited up as an assistant coach.
Yeah, they've really missed Dockage this year.
Are we good?
Yeah.
I'll move on to the conference scoreboard. Big win for Maryland over Purdue that will keep them ranked this week. Rutgers over Nebraska, and over Northwestern. Nebraska over Minnesota. Minnesota then defeats Indiana. Purdue with a big win over Penn State. Iowa in what may be the game of the year defeats Rutgers. And God hates Rutgers. God hates Rutgers. Nebraska with another win over Northwestern. Your reaction this week?
Well, Maryland, and I really like Purdue. Purdue's got to win that game over Maryland. Purdue's got to win that game. They got outclassed by Maryland. My opinion on Purdue is I thought they're a much better team than they are. That's a terrible loss. Rutgers, great win over Northwestern. Nebraska, Minnesota got absolutely screwed. They should have won that game. I'm afraid Minnesota's not going to make the tournament. If that game could come back to cost them, that's a quad 1 opportunity. Bullshit call to give James Palmer free throws at the end of that game. Minnesota should have won that. Whatever. They beat Indiana. That's a good win. Indiana sucks, but anytime you can win in the Big Ten, it's a good win. Penn State or Purdue over Penn State, no surprise there. Yeah, Rutgers got just screwed by God. Geo Baker hit a great shot just a couple seconds before that BS shot. I don't care. Doesn't matter. The ball gets tipped. It finds its way to Wieskamp in the corner, and he banks it. How do you bank it from that angle? I've never seen that. Rutgers got screwed. Rutgers is a much better team than Rutgers is right now. Nebraska over Northwestern. Nebraska, they're coming on a little bit, but it's too late. Tim Miles is already done.
Basically two takeaways from this week is that God hates Rutgers. That final shot, that sequence reminded me of another game this week. And that Maryland's going to win the Big Ten tournament. That's the two takeaways from right now.
Oh, goodness.
I'm like the mainstream media. I'll call it, and if it's right, I'll take all the credit. If I'm wrong, everyone will just forget about it. So,
Alex?
I was the luckiest team in the country. Between the game winner over crappy Northwestern and a bank 3 from the corner. I'm like, how do you bank that? How is that even possible?
Who knows?
It was such a bad shot. That was a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tipped by a Rutgers defender. And it goes right into his hands. In the corner. And he does that. My gosh.
All right. Maryland, that was a big win to keep them ranked this week. They'll still be ranked tomorrow. I have a couple other takeaways here. Nebraska might be making a late run here late Thursday, try and get into the tournament.
Okay.
A couple
Okay.
good wins this week.
Okay.
And also, I'd like to say that Iowa's the third best team in the Big Ten. There's no question about that for me now.
No. What are you smoking?
I posted the rankings on the Big Four Podcast Instagram. Had Iowa at number 3.
I love this. Chris is like, after MSU beats Iowa, oh, Iowa sucks, Iowa awful. Then Michigan loses to them. Oh, they're the greatest team of all time. Seriously, give me a break. I'm sure you think Penn State. I'm sure you think Penn State's the 4th best team in the Big Ten, huh?
They go out there and they chuck. That's what they do. Just like Marquette. I like both those teams. You guys can say they're lucky, and maybe there's a little bit of luck there, but they win the games, and that's the bottom line. A win is a win.
If you asked him to bank a 3 from the corner, I don't think he could.
Maybe Geo Baker made a shot that took about 12 bounces on the rim and then went in. Shot times.
That's not lucky though. That's good. That's not lucky.
Oh, really?
That was lucky by what's his name, Wieskamp. And I'll agree with you on this. Bohannon is better than Marcus Howard. I'll give you that.
No.
Yeah, he is.
Bohannon is nasty though.
He's better than Marcus Howard.
No. Yeah, well, Caleb Weston was the number 1 pick, so.
True.
All right, let's move on. The biggest game from this week. Kentucky cruises at home over the top-ranked Tennessee Volunteers. What are your takeaways?
I was Chris. I was trying to tell you, making the bracket last week, that Tennessee should be a 2 seed. And this just proves why. Because they have no good wins. They have bad losses, and they're just not a good team. I think they're just the most overrated team in the country. Okay. The Kentucky fans were chanting overrated. Don Calipari made them stop because he didn't want Tennessee to cry because they were right. They're overrated.
What are you talking about? Bad losses. They lost to Kentucky and Kansas.
Overrated.
Listen.
Should have lost to Vanderbilt.
I'd be like, sorry,
By
Daddy,
the way,
stop it.
Look, according to Lenardi, they're still locked in as a 1 seed after this loss.
Yeah, because they lost. They lost to the
So they're a 2 seed.
They could be a 0 seed. They'd be a 0 seed after they lost.
They shouldn't even be in the tournament, to be honest.
Okay,
well, let's calm down.
Yeah, I'm thinking NIT for Tennessee. There might be a 1 seed in the NIT, but
Tennessee is just not as good as everyone says they are. Trying to tell you that last week, Chris.
That's a surprise.
I mean, we should have known this. Tennessee has played nobody at all over the past couple months. They have the easiest SEC schedule I've ever seen in the history of history. And luckily it gets harder over the last 10 games of the year or whatever. They've got some tough games. But they've just been playing nobody. Florida twice, although that is 2 good wins right there. Florida's not competing for an SEC title this year. They have a good win over Gonzaga, good win over Louisville. But this is a Rick Barnes coach team. And Rick Barnes coach teams always choke in the tournament. And it's not, it's not like a thing where, sometimes they choke, sometimes they don't. No, they always choke in the tournament.
Really?
Yep, he's always...
Before a guy like Tony Bennett, who choked every year in the tournament.
Nope, he's worse than Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett got to an Elite 8 a couple of years ago. Rick Barnes has never been to an Elite 8. Are you kidding me?
Well, are you kidding me? He gets all the recruits at Virginia. He doesn't get anything at Tennessee. Are you kidding me?
I don't care. He's got 7 fifth-year seniors. He should be pretty damn good. Freaking Rutgers would be good with 7 fifth-year seniors on the team. I mean, come on.
Tennessee only has 4 quadrant 1 wins.
That's embarrassing.
Freaking Virginia has more quadrant 1 wins than Tennessee has quadrant 1 days played. They haven't played anybody. It's like they're playing in the WAC. They're playing the Western Athletic Conference. They're playing Chicago State every day.
I bet
basically what it's like.
Gonzaga probably has more quadrant 1 wins than they do.
I think
Gonzaga has well.
Nevada. Okay, Alex, let's relax.
Well, no, I'll take Nevada over Tennessee any day.
Okay.
I would too.
Nevada's not even a tournament.
Listen.
So,
I like Tennessee, but they're very one-dimensional. They go through Grant Williams. They go through Grant Williams. They go through Grant Williams, and they have nobody else they can go through.
That's just ridiculous.
If they can't get it to Grant Williams, then they can't do anything.
He almost averaged the same amount as Williams.
Who?
Nevada hasn't played a quadrant one game yet this year.
But Schofield needs Williams to be good, for him to be good. If Williams isn't playing well, Schofield isn't playing well.
Nevada hasn't lost a quadrant one game this year.
So what are they, 1-0?
They haven't played one.
No, they haven't played one. They're 0-0.
Oh, my God.
That's pathetic.
Okay.
That's pathetic. Okay.
All right. My take, Kentucky's a good team. They did lose to LSU, though, so they're probably not going to move in the rankings.
This really just shows you how good of a coach they have. Coach Cal, going against by the best coach in the country.
Chris.
Even the best of all time.
Chris, recent.
Okay.
I put him up there with Woody and Bobby Knight. I haven't seen a better coach than him. This was a great coaching performance. And but really, I could have coached this team to beat Tennessee because Tennessee's not very good.
Yeah, and Chris, you're not going to talk about how Nevada came back and beat New Mexico by 29. But,
Okay.
Well, that doesn't excuse their 30-point loss earlier. So.
All right. Tennessee, tough.
No, they're not that good.
Obviously,
No, they're not that good. They got exposed.
That's ridiculous. Tennessee, in my opinion, is still the best team in the country.
Oh my God!
They're not going to be ranked number one. They're going to be down probably at 3 this week.
3? They shouldn't even be in the top 10. Are you kidding me?
They are the best team in the country. They know how to win. I've seen it all year.
They do not know how to win.
They should be behind Gonzaga. They should be behind Duke. They should be behind Virginia. They should be behind Houston. They should be behind Kentucky. They should be behind Michigan State. They should be behind Michigan. They should be behind North Carolina. They should be behind Texas Tech. They should be behind Purdue. They should be behind Nevada. Okay, maybe not Nevada, but in the top 10.
All right. Well, we're going to disagree on that, so let's just move on. Mike requested a slide, even though this is going to add about 5 minutes to the very lengthy podcast. Who has a better defense, Michigan or Michigan State?
Michigan State, not even close. I rest my case.
Wow, what overwhelming evidence.
Well, you want me to bring out my evidence? Because I'll just destroy your argument.
You go, their defense is better. I rest my case.
Well, you got to look at opponent's field goal percentage. I think that's the most important stat.
No. How about points per game?
No. No, you cannot compare points per game. Because Michigan State...
Yes, you can.
No, Michigan State plays a much higher pace version of basketball. The other team gets more opportunities. Of course they're going to score more points.
Points per game is the best metric. How many points do you let up?
It doesn't matter. When you're winning by 20 points, you give up 60 instead of 50. Big deal. It comes down to pace of play. Michigan State has a much faster pace of play than Michigan. That's why they let up more points. That's how it goes. And again, Michigan State lets up their opponents shoot a worse percentage than Michigan, and they have more blocks per game than Michigan. Michigan is better in the turnover department, but that's about it. Michigan State is a lot tougher than Michigan. Michigan is a soft team. Michigan State is, besides Winston, everybody can hold their own. Michigan State has that one defender that can lock you down, and Matt McQuaid. Michigan doesn't have that. Michigan.
Oh, really?
No, they don't. Michigan doesn't have that. And
that's why Xavier Simpson's on the Defensive Player of the Year list.
Yeah, well, Xavier Simpson, you can't put him on Nick Ward now, can you? Well,
you can't put Matt McQuaid on Nick Ward if you regard him.
Oh, I trust Matt McQuaid on anybody.
Oh boy.
Well, I love Matt McQuaid. We're gonna put him on Matthews, and he's gonna absolutely shut Matthews down. I can't wait for that. Anyways, and Michigan State has a better coach defense than Michigan. Because we all know John Beilein doesn't coach defense, so that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, nobody cares about this topic because it's not about if your defense is good. It's about if you win games. I don't care if you let up 1 point or 110 points. If you're winning games, who cares?
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, well, Michigan State. That's what. Well, Michigan State has 10 Quadrant 1 wins, so yeah, it really does help them win.
Well, it was a better record then.
Doesn't matter. Quadrant 1 wins matter. I'd rather be in Michigan State's position than Michigan. There's a reason why Michigan State was the number 1 ranked 2 seed by Joe Lunardi after yesterday.
No, he wasn't. Kentucky was number 1. Kentucky was number 1.
No, it didn't take the Kentucky game into account. Kentucky will be number 1 after that, but it was before the Kentucky game was played. Michigan State was the number 1 ranked 2 seed. Michigan was the number 3 ranked 2 seed. So, Michigan State has a much better resume than Michigan. Doesn't matter about the record.
Alex, who has better defense?
Doesn't matter.
All right, on to the next topic. I'm going with Michigan. I know Mike likes all the analytics. That's all he looks at.
No, my eye test. My eye test tells me Matt McQuaid's the best defender in the country. That's what it tells me.
He sits there and he analyzes. He goes to the analytics and he doesn't look at the points per game. Michigan has better defense. You have points per game. Also, they have the best perimeter defender in the nation, Xavier.
What?
Michigan also played 7 Quadrant 4 games to Michigan State's 4. So that's going to skew it a little when you're playing Holy Cross and only allowing
Cross a good team.
Exactly. You know, Luke makes a great point. When you get up 30 points to 3 more Quadrant 1, Quadrant 4 teams, that'll bring your points per game down, won't it now?
Okay, that's all I look at, points per game.
And,
we'll see. We'll see.
And how dare you slander Matt McQuaid by saying Xavier Simpson's better? That is ridiculous. Matt McQuaid has shut down the other team's best player so many times, I can't even tell you. He did it to Carson Edwards twice. Did it to Brad Davidson the other night. He did it to Andre Weston today. I mean, he just does it every game. And he doesn't. Nobody says anything about him.
We think Michigan's defense is good this year. Well, let's remember last year when they had the 2 best perimeter defenders in the nation. And, they've gotten better this year defensively. And you look at their entire lineup can defend. Poole is decent on defense. Teskey is decent on defense. Everybody else is very good defensively.
Are you kidding me? Teskey's your best defender. What are you talking about?
Okay, let's relax. All right, we're moving on to the Michigan State-Michigan preview.
Oh, boy.
Anything you want to say before this game on Sunday?
Yeah.
The game will speak for itself.
Yep, despite all the injuries, Michigan State will be favored in this game. BPI has them favored. They should be favored. They're the better team, and they should win. I don't care about the injuries. Michigan is overrated. They haven't played anybody. And, of course, they're playing at home. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Michigan State has the coaching advantage, and they're mad for what happened last year. They're going to try to get revenge. And I think Michigan State has the defense to shut down Michigan. I don't think Michigan has the defense to shut down Michigan State.
Luke, Alex, anything?
No, I don't give a shit about this game. I literally could care less about this game.
No, I told you, the game's going to speak for itself. I don't care about the injuries, all that.
I will probably be watching golf or something. NASCAR, maybe. I'd rather watch 30 cars go around the track over and over again than watch Xavier Simpson, Chuck, and Cassius Winston tear his ACL. So,
this is going to be a very boring game. This might actually finish with a 40. Both teams are very good on defense. Both teams sometimes struggle on offense.
Don Beeline's going to go out there and try to go to a stall and then realize there's a shot clock.
Michigan has the coaching advantage. Michigan State has the better players.
What?
So we'll see what happens.
Michigan by far has the more athletic team. We already know that.
No.
By
not true.
far. It's not even close. They have by
I don't
far the
care
more...
about the injuries.
They have
There are
more
no excuses
athletes. What?
No excuses for either team. I'm excited
What?
to watch the game.
Okay, Michigan State has an excuse. Michigan has no excuses.
No excuses for either team.
Michigan should be blowing us out next Sunday. They should be.
No, it'll be a close game, and we'll see who comes out on top.
I'm going to go with the better coach. Tom Izzo's a much better coach. He has more Final Fours. That's all that matters.
Okay. A very, very interesting topic here. Who are your? It doesn't have to be a list, or it doesn't have to be in any order or anything. But who are your best? Okay, nothing to do with coaching. Who are your best play-by-play and color commentators?
Dan Dockich is number one. For sure. Dan Dockich is the best in the country. He knows. Oh, and Bill Walton. Those two are the most entertaining ones in the business. I'm watching Bill Walton try to eat a cupcake while the candle was still lit. On TV. This guy literally tried to bite a light candle.
Mike?
Well, you got to start with Tim Brando. By far the best college basketball announcer in the business. And then after that, a bunch of CBS announcers come to mind: Ian Eagle, Kevin Harlan, Jim Nantz.
Gus Johnson.
Gus Johnson's not as good as he used to be.
Vern Lundquist.
Vern Lundquist doesn't do it anymore, but if he did, he'd be number one for me. Who else? For play-by-play or for color commentators, I like Fran Fraschilla, even though he has a crush on Kansas. I've never seen a guy just blow off Kansas more than he does. I mean, but whatever. He's still very good at his job. Who's that? No, not Dan Dockich he's actually pretty good with his analysis. I just think he's a loser and he's so full of himself. I can't stand him. Bill Walton just doesn't even know where he is when he's doing it. He's like, am I in Hawaii right now, or where the hell am I? He doesn't even know there's a game going on. Dick Vitale, I don't even know if he thinks he knows what sport is going on. I think he sucks.
Dick Vitale might be the worst.
The
absolute worst.
I can't stand him. So who else? That guy, Jason Hummel, or what the heck his name is. He does a lot of Big 12 games.
Benetti?
No, he's a color guy. Jason Benetti is awful. He's terrible.
You know who's the best? The best is Charles Barkley when he does it during the NCAA tournament.
All right then. And Bill Raftery is the all-time great. He's the GOAT. We all know that. No disputing it. That's all I have to say.
All right. I have some play-by-play announcers, just in no particular order, but I have 6 that are very, very good. Gus Johnson.
If Bill Walton's on here, I'm hanging up.
This is play-by-play. Gus Johnson, I have Joe Davis, who is just phenomenal.
Oh my God, he's so bad. I've never met a worse college basketball announcer than he is.
He did a great job today. He did a great job of that UCLA-Utah game last week. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, they stick him in the Pac-12 because he's awful.
Well, how about he was on the Big East games today? So.
Yeah, they probably have him.
Don't disrespect Bill Walton like that, Mike.
Okay. He does.
I have Jim Nantz, obviously, does a good job. I'm wondering if he's going to make his debut this weekend at Chrysler.
No, he'll be doing golf.
We'll see. Brian Anderson's
It'll be
Adam Amin is good.
it'll be Kevin Harlan and Bill Raftery next week. That's my guess.
Oh boy. Maybe Iron Eagle.
Oh, I love Iron Eagle. Iron Eagle does a great job.
I don't like him. Adam Amin is good.
I've never heard Adam Amin do a basketball game. What are you smoking? What are you smoking? What game have you heard him on?
He does the women. He does the Ohio Valley Conference.
He does the women? It's not even the same sport. What the heck?
My last one, and this is a very obvious one, Carter Blackburn.
He's all right.
He's phenomenal. Might be the best on this list. Color Dave O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. Tim Everett does UMass games.
Color commentators, Bill Raftery, Jim Jackson.
Jim Jackson. What is wrong with you? How could you possibly enjoy Jim Jackson?
He is phenomenal.
First of all, he went to Ohio State. Second of all, he's terrible at his job.
He's good.
He's awful.
And these last two, Mike is really going to like. Steve
Clark Kellogg.
Oh, yeah, Clark Kellogg. I forgot him. He's great.
I have Steve Lavin here on this list.
Oh, my God.
Have you met Bill Walton yet? Bill Walton's up there. Yeah. And here's the best one. Probably the best of this list is Doug Gottlieb.
Oh, my God. He is so bad. He doesn't know anybody.
That Marquette game, just a great call there.
He thinks he can do radio. He thinks he could do his radio show on the air. But they go, that guy's a dink. That guy's a dink over there. Doesn't know how to play basketball. Steve Lavin is so bad. He is so bad. My gosh. The worst combination of play-by-play and color commentators was Joe Davis and Steve Lavin on the MSU Maryland game earlier this year. It was the worst combination I've ever heard. Doesn't get any worse than that.
Okay. All right. We don't have a lot of time, and we've already been through a lot of time here. So, just who is your absolute worst play-by-play, and who's your absolute worst color commentator?
Worst play-by-play. Worst play-by-play, Joe Davis. Worst color commentator.
Okay.
Steve Lavin.
Dick Vitale's the worst. He's so bad. I can't stand him. He thinks it's about him. I'm trying to watch the game, and he's like, "What's a great shot, baby?"
Okay. No. You can't get away with saying that. No, you cannot say he's about himself and then say Dan Dockich is one of the best. You cannot say that.
I don't hear Dan Dockich screaming into his microphone, "Oh, I can't wait to go to Hawaii, baby!"
Are you kidding me?
Baby.
This is Dan Dockich. Oh, I really like this guy. You know, back when I was coaching, blah, 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 listen to my radio show, blah, 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 blah. That's all I hear from Dan Dockich. No, on my radio show, 2 to 4 on Indiana, blah, 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 blah. We talk about Indiana for 4 hours. Blah, 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 blah.
Dan Dockich lets me watch the... If I'm trying to watch the game, Dick Vitale's on the thing, I just hear him screaming on my TV. They put him on the TV. I don't want to see his goddamn ugly face. He looks like he's like, "Oh!" He's in his freaking ugly Maui's invitation shirt. He's like, "Oh, what is the challenge they want here, baby?" Oh, he is baby! What are you calling baby, you pitbull? Mike, who's your worst play-by-play? Who's your worst color commentator?
Me?
He looks like a guy from the Muppet.
I already said mine.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Play-by-play, I gotta go Carl Ravitch. He is awful.
Oh,
Color commentator.
that's disrespectful.
Dick Vitale is awful. I agree with you, Luke.
That's disrespectful to Little League. How dare you say that Carl Ravitch is bad?
He's not good.
Ridiculous.
All right, real quick, don't need an explanation. Who's your team of the week?
Illinois.
St. John's. Yep, I agree with Luke. I'm going with St. John's. Okay, we're on to the picks. Good weeks for Luke and Alex, 13-5 each. Luke sets 2 games back. Mike and I was rough week, 9-9.
Bull crap! I had a rough week. I picked smart that week. I don't know how I did bad.
And I was 7-11. Calling you 12 games back.
You suck.
Okie doke. Let's move into the first game.
Just when I think I'm bad, Chris does that.
Dick Vitale looks like Oscar the Grouch.
Jesus.
He's public enemy number 2. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on ESPN, Virginia at Virginia Tech. Who you got?
Virginia.
Virginia Tech. I agree. I'm going with Virginia Tech. They're just better than Virginia. That's the bottom line. Okay, next game. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on ESPN, Kansas State at West Virginia.
Kansas State.
Yep. I'm also going with Kansas State. West Virginia is just not good. Okay.
So this was a game we had to include, right? We had to have this one on here.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Big rivalry game here. This is Tuesday night, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Purdue at Indiana. I'm sure Dockich will be on this one.
Oh, if he's not on this one, it'll be crime. Although he might be too biased to be on this one. I like Indiana. I think their home court will show up. It's a big game, and I think they'll actually show up for a big game. I got Indiana.
I'll take. Where is it? Where's the game being played? Indiana. I'll take Purdue. Yeah, I'm going with Purdue. Indiana's just not very good. All right. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock on Big Ten Network. Another ranked matchup on the Big Ten Network. Maryland at Iowa.
This is a tough one. This one could go either way for me. I wouldn't be shocked if Maryland won this game, but I'm going to take Iowa because they're at home.
I'm going to take Iowa because next thing you know, God will strike them with freaking Moses on their team, and they'll score 1 million points at the buzzer. So I'm going to take Iowa. Yeah, I'm taking Iowa. They know how to win. All right. Big game. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, ESPNU, Florida State at Clemson.
Yeah, Florida State will be back in the top 25 this week. They've really hit their stride. I think they already are back in the top 25, but they've hit their stride. I'm taking Florida State.
I'm going to take Clemson. Is it at Clemson? Yep. Yeah, I'm going to take Clemson. I like Clemson. I'm taking Clemson too. They've lost a couple heartbreakers this week.
Brett Brunell's going to get fired at the end of the year.
They'll bounce back. They're making the tournament.
Okay.
All right. Here's a big game I know Michael like. Wednesday night, 6:30 on Fox Sports 1, Villanova at Georgetown.
Yeah, I don't like how Villanova's been playing lately. They blew a big lead, but I'm still going to take them to beat crappy Georgetown.
I like Georgetown. I'm going to take Georgetown. Yeah, I was going to take Georgetown, but then Villanova lost today, so I'm playing a lot of averages, and I'm taking Villanova. All right. Wednesday night, 6:30 on Big Ten Network, Rutgers at Michigan State.
We remember the last time Rutgers came into Breslin last year, they brought it into overtime, and that just happened to be the Wednesday before the Michigan game. And this is also the Wednesday before the Michigan game, so that's interesting. But I think Michigan State will win pretty handily, although Rutgers will make it a game early, like they always do, but I think Michigan State will pull away at the end.
I'm going to take Michigan State. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm taking State. Rutgers not very good.
That's
All right.
absurd. Rutgers is a top 10 team in the Big Ten.
Okay. This is Wednesday, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Louisville at Syracuse.
Well, I like Syracuse. I like Louisville, but Chris Mack does not like Louisville. He hates his team. You could tell the way he coaches. He hates his team. He thinks his team's mentally weak, and they are mentally weak the way they played against Duke. Playing at Syracuse is a tough place to play. I like Syracuse. This could go either way. But I'm going to take Syracuse because they're at home.
I'm going to take Syracuse as well because they're good.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking Syracuse because they're at home. And Louisville's not played good down the stretch of games, and Syracuse is close in every game. So, I'll take Syracuse. All right. Here's the game of the week right here, Wednesday, 8:30 on the Big Ten Network, Northwestern at Ohio State.
Yeah, I like the Buckeyes in this one. It'll be closer than people expect, though.
I'm going to take Ohio State, even though Vic Law might be the best player in the Big Ten.
Oh, he's up there.
Even though he was never a number 1 overall pick.
All right. I'm taking Ohio State because Northwestern sucks.
Ridiculous.
All right. The best rivalry in all college basketball is back.
Nope, this is not the best.
Okay. Wednesday,
I'll take Duke.
Dan Dawkins said Purdue, Indiana, and Louisville, Kentucky are both better than North Carolina and Duke.
I'll take North Carolina.
Oh, and by the way, Michigan and Michigan State is much better rivalry than this. I'm taking Duke.
Ohio State, Cleveland State is a better rivalry.
Ohio State, Michigan State, and Oakland is the best rivalry in college basketball, but nobody talks about that. I'm taking Duke.
Yeah, I'm going with North Carolina because I don't like Duke.
You guys
I'm
are.
taking North Carolina.
You guys are on crack.
Also, Michigan played North Carolina, so I'm taking them.
You guys are on crack.
All right. Wait. Dawkins still have a long way to travel. He's got to get up to Minneapolis for this game. This is Thursday, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Michigan at Minnesota.
Usually for the Thursday games, it's what's his name? It's somebody. It's not Dawkins. It's not Dawkins. It's somebody else. We'll see who's on that game. I got Michigan winning.
Minnesota sucks. Michigan's good. So I'm gonna take Minnesota in the upset.
Yeah, I'm taking Minnesota too until this team proves to me they're gonna play well on the road. Giving Minnesota. All right. Saturday, 12 o'clock on ESPN. Tennessee at LSU.
LSU. Yeah, LSU. Tennessee sucks. Agree with Luke.
Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee because they're the best team in the country.
That is just so ridiculous. I can't even tell you.
Okay. Saturday, 12 o'clock. Virginia at Louisville.
Virginia.
I'm going to take Virginia.
I'm going with Louisville because I just don't like Virginia or Duke, and they're both going.
Here's your problem. You don't like Virginia because they suck in the tournament, but they're good in the regular season. What don't you understand? They don't start sucking until the tournament.
They should have lost last year at Louisville, so they're going to lose this year. That's my logic.
Okay then. Michigan should have lost to Minnesota this year, and they won this year. So, I don't know what your point is. That's a terrible point.
Okay. Saturday, 12 o'clock on Fox. Marquette at Providence.
Marquette. Providence is the worst team in the Big East, so I'm going to take in Marquette.
I almost chose to refuse to pick this game. I'll take Marquette.
Oh, Billy. Big game here. Marquette. There's two tournament teams going at it, even after Providence's tough loss at home to Xavier.
That is That is so embarrassing. You can't lose to Xavier at home. You can't do that.
they have a big opportunity here for a big win. Ed Cooley is a big game coach, and he always has been.
Nope.
So I'm going with
He's the worst coach in Division I basketball history.
no.
Hashtag,
No, I'm going
hashtag fire Ed Cooley's been trending lately.
I'm going
It's actually hashtag Fryer Ed Cooley.
Providence is my second favorite team in all of college basketball, so I'm taking Providence. Okay.
Fryer Ed Cooley.
Saturday, 2 o'clock on ESPN, Ohio State at Maryland.
Maryland.
I'm taking Maryland.
All right. I'm going with Maryland as well.
No, I'm taking Ohio State. Taking Ohio State.
All right. Well, by the way, Luke, I thought you down as picking Michigan last week. Got Penn State, so I just don't buy that.
What? I texted it to you. I texted in the group chat last week.
No, you did not. You did not pick Penn State.
Yes, I did. I said Tony Carr's ghost was going to come on
No.
Michigan.
Nope.
Yeah?
Nope.
Chris, you're so full of yourself that you refused to agree with Luke's pick.
What?
You're so full of your team. You think your team's so great that nobody would pick against them?
No, to play Penn State.
Penn State?
No, you were giving crap last week that Ohio State lost 3 times to Penn State last year, and you were making fun of it, and because of the Michigan-Penn State game coming up. So I said, you know what, screw it. Penn State's going to beat Michigan. The Tony Carr's going to come back. And it happened.
You did. You weren't even on the podcast last week, so you did not.
Well, that was my ghost. The ghost of Tony Carr came back.
It's not like Tony Carr's dead or anything. Jesus Christ.
Saturday, 3:45 AAF on CBS. Florida State at North Carolina.
North Carolina is a fraud, but they'll still win this game.
I'm going to take North Carolina. Are you taking a Kansas game?
Texas Tech, Kansas game.
Okay. So I can do my Chalk Jayhawk.
It's coming up. Yeah, I'm going North Carolina. Florida State's a fraud. And Michigan played North Carolina.
North Carolina is a fraud.
Okay. Saturday, 4 o'clock on the Big Ten Network, Purdue at Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm going to take Nebraska in the upset. What a coach Tim Miles is.
You know, if I already predicted them to lose to Indiana earlier this week. If they didn't, I would take Nebraska. But I'm going to take Purdue because I envision them losing to Indiana earlier in the week.
I'm going with Nebraska in the upset. They're on the upswing. All right. Big rivalry, another rivalry game here. Saturday, 6 o'clock on ESPN, Duke at Syracuse.
Duke gets revenge, wins by 30.
Duke's going to win.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Coach K's playing 2 rivals in a week. And Coach K, you can't beat rivals, so he's going to lose to both of them. Give me Syracuse. Okay.
So Chris is already 14 games back, probably 15. We'll see what happens.
Saturday, 8 o'clock on ESPN, Kansas at Texas Tech.
I'm taking Texas Tech.
Rock, chalk, Jayhawk, I'm a little torn because I am wearing my Texas Tech t-shirt right now as we speak. But I do like doing the rock, chalk, Jayhawk, chant. But where's the game?
Texas Tech.
Oh, well, Kansas doesn't lose at home, so I'm going to take Kansas.
Dumbass.
Okay, then. I'm going with Texas Tech because Kansas can't play on the road.
Well, they don't lose at home, so.
Okay. All right. Next Sunday, 3:45 on CBS, Michigan State at Michigan.
Yep, Michigan State wins by 30. Okay, maybe not by 30. Izzo comes out. Cassius Winston sets the tone. Our defense sets the tone. Whoever's on the call, if Kevin Harlan's on the call, that'll favor us. If Iron Eagle's on the call, that'll favor Michigan. We'll see what happens there. But
Brad Nessler favor Michigan.
If it's Brad Nessler, it'll also favor Michigan. If it's Jim Nantz, it's about even. If it's an even split. If it's
What about Spiro Ditas?
If it's Spiro Ditas, both teams will lose. If it's Carter Blackburn, it favors Michigan State no matter what.
Ridiculous.
If it's Brian Anderson, then it'll favor Michigan State as well. I'm taking Michigan State. The upset on the road, and all the Michigan fans will make excuses 5 days after telling Michigan State fans they have no excuse for losing. I can't wait for the excuses. What are they? I can hear it now. Oh, it was raining outside. Oh no, the rain. I can hear it right now. Michigan State pulls off the upset.
Yeah, I'm going to refuse to pick this game because nobody cares. It's going to be the most boring game of the century, and I will be watching NASCAR instead, even though I don't like NASCAR. Because that's less boring than what this game's going to be. It's just watching cars going in circles for 4 hours, but I'd rather do that than watch this basketball game. But if you're going to put me down for Michigan State, even though I refuse to pick the game. All right, you're going down as a no pick. All right. Yeah, I'm going Michigan State, too. I don't like the way Michigan's playing right now. They're going to be looking ahead against Minnesota. They're going to lose that game, and then they're going to be, I don't know what they're going to be doing on Sunday, but they're going to lose. So, give me Michigan State.
Blame the rain, huh? I can hear it coming.
Nope. No excuses. We are going to win at Breslin in a couple weeks, but we are losing this game.
Yeah, right. Nobody wins. Nobody wins at Breslin except for Indiana.
Except for us last year.
No, that's because we were a fraud last year. We're not a fraud this year.
And Ohio State. Ohio State wins at Breslin.
No, Ohio State hasn't won at Breslin in 7 years, so.
Oh, we won last year, so.
No, you won at home last year, dumbass.
No, we won on the road last year.
No, you're a dumbass. This is why we almost kicked you off the podcast. You're just not knowledgeable enough to be on here.
Yep.
All right.
Now, we were thinking about doing an Alex-only podcast, actually.
All right. That is going to do it for this edition of the Big Four podcast. Join us next week. We'll be on after the Michigan State-Michigan game with our immediate reaction.
We will be live streaming the game.
No, we will not be.
We will be putting an electric chair where we will be live streaming Chris and Mike's reaction to every single play.
Okay.
You can find it on our website.
That's right, yeah.
We don't have a website.
Big4bracketology.com. Visit us there. We'll be uploading videos. We'll see. All right.
All right, thank you for watching. We'll be back next week.